Welcome back. Now, let's talk business. Markets resumed their advance after one-day fall, ending marginally higher. Pharma, realty and energy sectors advanced. Alex Matthew with the wrap of all the market action.
Well, equity markets resumed their up move in trade today, with the Nifty 50 gaining about 0.2% or thereabouts, but it traded in a very narrow range. In fact, just about 63 points or thereabouts from the low point to the high point of the day. And all throughout, the Nifty 50 stayed above the 19,400 mark. It ended, in fact, at about 19,440. Now, the broader markets was where all of the action was today. And in fact, the broader markets outperformed the benchmark. The overall market breadth was tilted in favor of the advances. And in fact, the mid-cap index, the Nifty mid-cap 100, hit an all-time high in trade today. You had the mid-cap 150 index that gained about 1% or so, and the small-cap index that gained about 0.7% or thereabouts. Among the sectors, you had realty and pharma that continued to be the bright spots, both of those indices gaining close to 1.5% each. And prestige estates, perhaps to a certain extent, setting the tone for the realty pack as a whole in trade today on the back of quite the stellar Q2 results. Metals, FMCG as well as auto gained ground in trade, whereas on the other hand, you had the Nifty Bank that was a bit of an underperformer in trade today, losing about 0.2%. Now, oil prices declined, and they have been on the decline in the recent past. They've fallen below the $82 per barrel mark, and I'm talking about Brent crude here, and that's a 3-month low. As a result of which, you saw several stocks that are oil sensitive react to that. And you had the top gain on the Nifty 50 BPCL, which gained over 3%. You had HPCL also that gained ground, and you had the paint companies, particularly Asian Paints as well as Berger Paints, gaining ground in trade today. After that, you also had a few stocks that reacted very sharply to earnings. And among them was Prince Pipes, which gained over 10%. You had Gujarat Pipavav, as well as Dollar Industries and Automotive Axles, which gained quite significantly on the back of earnings. And finally, heading into the rest of the week, you have earnings that will continue to take center stage as we look for direction globally, not just here in India.
And as we enter Samvat, what should be on the themes to bet on? Which mutual fund themes can you bank on for healthy returns? BQ Prime spoke to Shalini, Sekhri and Kshitiz Mahajan to understand what they are bullish on.
From a more shorter term perspective for this coming year, we believe, and I think this to some extent is contrary to the street, that mid and small caps will continue to extend their gains. We continue to see fantastic returns, from there. And we don't believe that we are anywhere in a bubble zone, which is what we're hearing from, some of the other market participants. So we believe that this is the year, in fact, the next 5 years is the year to make supernormal gains from equity as an asset class, continue to add through SIPs. Every correction that comes in should be used as an opportunity to buy further. In fact, I personally love corrections. I feel it builds an extremely stable base for the next leg of growth. When there is only a run-up, there's generally bad news ahead. So I think being able to build on the back of worries to climb the wall of worry, and I see so much skepticism whenever we talk to clients. But that makes me pretty positive because I think rallies are built on skepticism. So I believe we are still at the young stages of a bull rally. It's definitely not a mature market yet. So lots of excitement ahead.
Housing includes a lot of sectors, and I think government focus on, house for all, overall being people are getting upgraded through the GDP, increase, through the income increase. I think COVID has also led to this mindset change of people to have the right set of home, because they have realized that they might have to spend more time at home, and that mindset change is there. So you see that people don't mind spending money on upgrading themselves, and they are good to spend 10-15 lakh on their kitchen or let's say on washrooms also. So I'm saying housing is a thing which includes broader sector. This is a broader sector when you have cement, steel, pipes, tiles, everything coming, toiletries, everything coming there. So that sector is one sector which we really like. Then second sector is the energy sector, where as a house we feel that clean energy is the way forward, and companies who are working on that it might create a lot of vibe and positivity for those businesses which are working on that, not only in India but outside India. So we're looking at a clean energy where we're playing on stories on the ethanol side, on EV side. We are playing on the stories on auto EV side. So there are many businesses on which we are very positive on the clean energy side. Third thing which we are looking at a manufacturing side. And we very strongly feel that manufacturing might end up contributing 25 to 26% to the overall GDP in the next 4 to 5 years' time.
And the first Adani Ports Colombo port has got US Development Finance Corporation's financing. The DFC will invest $553 million to support the development of Adani Group's deep water shipping container terminal. We spoke to the company's CEO, Karan Adani. Listen in.
This is, first of all, this is a very vigorous process that we've been going through for the last 18 months with DFC. This is a project financing arrangement that we have achieved, a 20-year loan and a very competitive pricing. This is the reason why it is extremely important is because if I'm not wrong, this will be the first Indian port company for a port asset. We are getting a DFC financing. Second, based on their process, the rigor that they've gone through, it just repose faith that on our execution capability, on our ability to make a viable business out of it, and also on our governance structure. That was a very important part for getting this loan as well.
And while there is a boom in the real estate sector, the mid-income housing is lagging. Prestige Group's Irfan Razak tells us why it is important to focus on the mid-income housing over luxury housing. Listen in.
I still believe housing in our Indian context is a need. And I still believe mid-income housing is where the sweet spot is. We can't afford to ignore that. While we are doing what we are doing, of course, when there is a demand for larger houses, so be it. So we will also produce those. But if we lose our focus and lose our eye on the mid-income housing, we will be a lost cause. So if you have to get the numbers, we have to make sure the mix is right. We have to have mid-income housing while we are also developing the upper and luxury housing, because again, I would say luxury housing is a niche market. It's a very small market. And how much such luxury houses can be built and can be sold? So if you ask me, the sweetest spot is we have to have a larger base where the mid-income housing will always be evergreen, and that is what will sell. And of course, our mid-income housing looks like luxury. So that's another advantage. Sure. So that's where the whole scenario changes.
And BQ Prime spoke to Shri Cement after the company reported a stellar set of numbers in the second quarter. The company's MD talked about their capacity expansion plans. Let's listen in.
At present, our capacity is 50 million ton. By the end of this year, by the 24 March, it will be 56. By 25, it will be 62 million ton. These two numbers are there because the work has already started, and we can see the closure of by the time frame. After that, another 2 years, we will like to be 80 million tons.
So you're looking at 30 odd million tons coming in the next 3 to 4 years, right?
No, next 4 years.
4 years.
Will be
Okay, for next 4 years. So how do you planning to fund this capex? Is it going to be entirely through internal accruals, or are you going to increase your debt component here?
At present, we have about 6,000 crores kitty in our bank. So part of that will be used. The rest will be internal accrual. And we think that to be on the safe side, we may borrow about 3,000 crores or so.
Well, that's all we have in Let's Talk Business. Time for a short break.